Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the program, The Advocate. The Advocate is a program designed to deliberate on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. My name is Jack Vincent Fidelis, and I'm your host. On the program today, as usual, we shall be deliberating and touching issues on anti-corruption and issues of accountability in the system. With me to deliberate on these issues, I have the chapter lead, Borno State chapter lead, Connected Development, Malam Muazu Abubakar Sadiq. Sir, you are welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And on the program as well, we have members of the audience who will be contributing in the course of the program. I welcome all of you to the program.
Thank you quite much.
To set the ball rolling, Malam Muazu, I want you to tell us about your organization and how your organization helps in the fight against corruption and lack of accountability in the system.
Yeah, thank you for this great question. Once again, my name is Muazu Abubakar Sadiq. As you said, Connected Development is a non-governmental organization who seeks to empower marginalized communities with access to information across Africa. We strengthen local communities through giving them a platform for enabling informed debate, and as well as building their capacities on how to hold government accountable, on how to add their voice in decision making and policy making in the process of governance. And also we do that through our our initiative, Follow the Money initiative, which we track capital expenditure and international aid spending on three thematic areas, areas of health, education, water, sanitation, and hygiene under environment. And we work across Nigeria and also across Africa.
Oh, that's really good. Everything you do is towards the betterment of the lives of the citizenry. Now, these citizens, how do you engage them in this fight?
Yeah, actually, what we usually used to do, as you know, we are in the 21st century. Social media have contributed a lot. What I said by a lot is that we have access to meet with various young people on the platform. We have our Twitter handles, we have our Instagram handle, and as well as Facebook handle, alongside our own platform www.ifollowthemoney.org, where we engage with young people that are passionate about promoting transparency and accountability in the grassroots level. And also we have processes on our model we follow on engaging citizens, whereby we have what we do usually in the office, of which we call data mining session, which we find information which we will engage the citizen with. The information we will give them that they will track the process of the spending of the government. So whenever we finish the process of finding the information, we usually used to go down to the grassroots to meet with those people, to engage them, to let them know that there are funds that is being earmarked for their own benefit, so as for them to add their voice into it, because we can't just come on social media and be engaging with decision makers and as well as government personnel, but we need to meet with the citizens as well for them to add their voice. And also we have radio programs of which we usually engage them on, which we call the citizens that have been affected with those issues to come and discuss just front burning issues for government to take action. So we usually used to have community outreach. We engage with the community to give them those information, to let them know that our government have earmarked funds for projects that will benefit them, let them add their voice into it. And as well, we follow some stages, of which we have town hall meetings that we usually used to do, which we engage with the both side, the demand and the supply actors. So we engage with the citizens and as well as government personnel that are there, for them to have a level playing ground, to give them their needs, to tell them that, yeah, we acknowledge the effort that we are contributing, you are making effort to construct or to build social facility in our own community. But as well, if the allegation we are trying to come up with is the issue of the contractor hasn't done that or so. So these are the things that we are trying to clarify. And as well as whenever we have town hall meeting, citizens used to tell government personnel that this is the process, the stages of the work, this is what they have seen that is wrong, this, because those specifications that is being provided by the government are the information we usually used to give. Because before we engage the citizen, we need to have information, valid information. Data is very important as we are now. So we used to send FOI requests to government personnel for them to give us more information, details on the project implementation in the various community, which we give down to the citizens in the community, to them, for them to give an effective oversight on the project, and as well as to give feedback. If there is any corruption allegation, they will give it to the government.
Oh, thank you very much. That's quite extensive and really very educative. Okay, having said that, you see, in the course of responding, you said something about social media. That, to my mind, cuts off the people in the grassroots, because they probably don't have access to the social media, or they are not educated enough to engage meaningfully in what you do.
That's why I said earlier, when I started the discussion, before I made mention of social media, I made mention of radio stations, because there is you can hardly go to a remote community without seeing someone with a radio set that he will on in the morning to listen to something, and will on in the afternoon and evening to listen to whatever that is happening.
Have you been able to track the efficiency of that medium?
Yeah, because we usually used to have on our own radio programs that we usually used to do, we have a feedback segment whereby we measure the number of people that are calling in. Okay. So when they call in, citizens from the grassroots are calling in to give feedback, to say that yes, they have social issue in their own community, and as well different radio stations have their own medium of measuring the number of listeners in those grassroots, because we usually engage them in their own local language, in their own local dialect. So that is to tell you that they will be aware exactly of where we are heading to, what we are doing, how they will be on the page of engaging government on issues of transparency and accountability. For one situation that happened, we have a community that we brought to the radio station, one of the Shuari community that have lack access to water facility, which we saw the publication that was being done by one of the media station. So that media station that did the publication, we engage with them, and as well as we bring those people to the media station to let government know that this is their own situation, this is the true situation they are passing through. So social media is just trying to help us in the process of engaging with the implementing partners, because there is no any implementing partners at the federal level or international aids that doesn't have a Twitter handle. So we usually engage them to give them feedback in respect to what is happening in those communities.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Where to file in the case
that yours will be an open door.
Our scorecard to have at least 75% or 80%. Of course, yes. Don't collect those things. But then the votes of the electorate don't count. Then there is virtually nothing the electorate count.
Do we have the capacity to do this as citizens of Nigeria?
We need a severe punishment for anybody who willingly, openly rob our country.
Well, viewer, in case you're just joining us, the program is The Advocate. The Advocate is sponsored by the MacArthur Foundation and CTAD. On the program, we are deliberating on the issue of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. It's on this note that I want to go over to members of the audience to see if in the course of our deliberation they have a question or two to ask.
My name is Abubakar, and my question is to Malam Muazu Abubakar. Well, I must admit that your organization has done a great job here in Borno State and Nigeria at large. So, have you ever caught anyone with the act of corruption here in Nigeria?
Yeah, actually, corruption, as you know, is a wider, or I can say is a very wide thing entirely. And cutting someone with the act of corruption is not our own responsibility, because we are not an institution built to take somebody to court to say that he is corrupt or so. What we usually used to do is whenever funds are being earmarked for a certain project, we follow up the process of the implementation to see that that fund is being utilized or is being used judiciously. On the process, there are a lot of campaigns with tracks. That is to tell you what we do. We usually call it campaigns. So on tracking those processes, we have seen so many corrupt charges. At 2012, we tracked the releases that was made by the then government for stuff that is supposed to be given to marginal and rural communities, a cooking stuff that was supposed to be given, and we have caught a lot of corrupt charges, of which we saved the country almost 1.something billion naira. A figure which, if it was left like that, it will have gone in vain by corrupt public servants. And as well, we have tracked the process of the lead poisoning cleaning up at some of the communities at Bagega and Shekiri local government, part of Zamfara and Niger State. So all these things to tell you is to what we have done entirely in the nation, in respect to how we have helped the institutions that are supposed to fight corruption in the country, giving them such report for them to ensure that they send the people that are caught in corrupt charges to court, or they send them to jail, as well as to find people in a free, fair and society without corruption.
This is commendable. This is really good to know. Well, I guess somebody else in the audience has a question to ask. You tell us your name and then you ask your question.
My name is Abubakar. My question is direct to Abubakar Sadiq. In this movement, what are the challenges you actually undergo, and how are the community people supporting you in order to see that you achieve this specific goal for the betterment of the society?
Yeah, you see, fighting corruption is, I can say, is like because we are in a space whereby many corrupt public servants and as well as private individuals are corrupt. So there are a lot of threats in the aspect of fighting corruption, because so many people will be giving you calls to tell you that if you try to show people that we are doing this, we will kill you. And as well, there are many things. Such things are things that your passion, your commitment will keep you moving, and as well as the work you are doing in the grassroots, by the prayers of the people in the grassroots, will as well make you succeed in what you are doing. And as well to how we engage with the communities to see that they appreciate what we are doing, or to see that we are doing something not because of promoting our own interest but their own interest, is that whenever we go to that community, we usually used to tell them that this is your own community, this is your own project, how can you take ownership of what we are doing? So we tell them the processes for them to do it themselves, to avoid being implicated in anything. So as also, we are not enemies to the government. We are trying to promote the effort of the government. We are trying to help the government in knowing exactly what is happening in this space, because government cannot give contract, and as well as to provide effective oversight, citizens need to give their part by providing that effective oversight. So to our own work as activists that are fighting corruption, there are a lot of threats, but in Nigeria, I can say is minimal compared to the other part of the countries in Africa.
Well, thank you very much. And then, in adding to what the question the last person asked, I want to know how the situation of corruption in Nigeria really is. From the work you've been doing, how is the situation in Nigeria in terms of corruption and lack of accountability?
Yeah, actually, to some extent, Nigeria, recently have signed into the Open Government Partnership, of which it is a sign of transparency and accountability. And as well as from that moment, Nigeria have signed the Act of Freedom of Information Act, of which some institutions are abiding with such acts to provide information to citizens on how they spend public funds. But nevertheless, looking at the perception index that was being provided by Transparency International, you can come across that almost every time they report from 2012 to 2018, Nigeria is within and between 24, 27, 28, 29, of which at the scale of 0 to 100, 0 being very clean, corrupt, 0 being the worst corrupt country, and as well as 100 being the most or very clean countries. So Nigeria being 27, 28, 29 is something in the sub-Saharan Africa, I can say, is we are making a bit of progress. But in the entire 180 countries of that index, of that report, you can see we are left behind. So a lot needs to be done. We are trying to move forward, we are trying to make progress, but more effort needs to put in place by rebuilding our own institution, by making it free, by making it difficult for even public servants to be implicated in corrupt allegations or even in corrupt acts and doing such corrupt things that will make the country jeopardize and make it backward.
Thank you very much. Well, you see, on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 to 39 is a woeful failure.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the situation with Nigeria? Is Nigeria a failed state that is absolutely corrupt?
Yeah, I cannot even actually tell you that we are a failed state for now, because as a citizen, we need to have that patriotism in us on how we can make things work rather than how we can criticize and say we are backward. Yeah, we know, we acknowledge the fact that
there are two things here. Making things work is one thing.
Yeah.
And then stating the facts is another.
Yeah, actually,
you said in the course of your analysis, you said something. You said that we fall within the 0 to 39 range.
Yeah.
And that is F9. To tell you the honest truth.
0 to even 29, not 39.
Oh, it is not even up to 39.
Yes. So,
Go ahead.
in sub-Saharan Africa, I can say that
Nigeria, right?
yeah, so I can say we are a bit ahead. We are making progress compared to Somalia and other part of the countries on how you can see poverty and so many issues, drop out at schools and many things like that. But in Nigeria, yeah, in the entire world, Nigeria is left behind. If I can recall, one of the prime ministers that may say Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. Yeah, we are fantastically corrupt, but how can they help in the process of rebuilding our institution? What I mean by rebuilding our institution, public servants that are taking funds to those countries, how can they make them have it difficult to take the money to those places?
Talking about these institutions, rebuilding them.
Yeah.
How effective are the anti-graft agencies we have in Nigeria? Is it that they are very effective, or they just indulge in media trials without being effective?
You see, the two main anti-graft agency we have in Nigeria, the EFCC and as well as the ICPC, I can say, yeah, they need a commendation to some extent, but looking at the perception or to how people perceive what they are doing is how they are fighting in respect to sidelining it to a certain opposition or to a certain party that didn't belong to the system. Because, yeah, there are a lot of corruption charges within the system of the government we need to as well look into, need to be reviewed, and as well as take to court to charge them into court by tracking the process of what they have done. So the anti-graft agencies, they are trying their effort, they are trying their best, but I would like to as well call upon them to make it much more robust, in the sense that even those in the system, what I mean by those in the system, those in political position, those that are in power, can be tried, can be taken into court, can be charged for whatsoever they have done, to see that the process has been free, fair, of non making it sidelining it to opposition, or if you belong to social group, you are not supposed to be tracked, or you are not supposed to be implicated. So I will call upon them to make more effort as well.
Thank you very much.
This is where to file in the case that yours will be an open scorecard to have at least 75% or 80%. Of course, yes, don't collect those things. But then the votes of the electorate don't count. Then there is virtually nothing the electorate.
Do we have the capacity to do this as citizens of Nigeria? We need a severe punishment for anybody who willingly, openly rob our country.
Well, viewers, in case you just joining us, the program is The Advocate. The Advocate is a program designed to deliberate on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in the system. And on this note, I'm still with my guest, Muazu Abubakar Sadiq, who is the Borno State Chapter Lead, Connected Development. So far, he has been doing justice to the issue on ground, and I quite appreciate him. Malam Muazu, your organization, I want you to talk about your organization now. What have you achieved so far? What are your core achievements that you'll be very proud of?
Yeah, our core achievement that I can say we are proud of is making the life of people at the instance whereby they have been affected by lead poisoning in Bagega and community better, by providing them, by getting access to water facility, having access to schools, and as well as having access to the cleaning up of the community. So also by saving the country almost 1.5 billion naira of these cook stuff scandals. So it is something that was being recorded nationwide, something that you will see in the nation media, of which it has been done. Coming down to Borno State, in 2018 alone, we have tracked a budgeted sum of almost 1.8 billion naira in Nigeria, education projects, health project, and as well as water sanitation and hygiene project in Nigeria. Moving down to the Niger Delta region, we have the conflict and fragility project, whereby we give the enabling platform for citizens to discuss with those oil companies of how things is being done in the community, to see that they are being provided with basic needs of life. And also at Kaduna, we have done quite a lot in the aspect of education project. Here in Borno, we have done in the aspect of education project, and as well as looking at health project. In the education project, one of which we track the constituency project at Jere Federal Constituency, of which we track the block of classroom that was being constructed, supposed to be 6, which was 4 was being constructed. As a result of our effort, additional 2 was constructed in another school within that constituent. And also we track the process of the healthcare facility at one of the community in the MMC, of which today I can tell you that it's at a completion stage, which needs a lot of commendation, because whenever we provide the oversight, it's just to ensure that contractor move according to specification. Corruption is not only for you not to do the project, but you go according to specification. Once you made the project without abiding with the specification, you are also corrupt. So on that process, even if you are doing the project, we want to ensure that you move according to specification. And another thing that I would like you to know is that we are moving ahead, by which, despite the security challenges in the state, we have widened our space to move to the southern part of the state. To be precise, at the local government, we are on the process of tracking the implementation of 2 blocks of 1 classroom at Miringa community. It's just a community nearby to the Bu community. So it's 1 primary school, Zutu primary school. So if we are to talk of what we have done here in Nigeria, we will finish the program without even finishing the achievement. But what we are super proud of, Connected Development started transparency and accountability movement in Nigeria. Is a product of Nigeria that we can be proud. I can say we are proud of it, because different countries are coming up to ask of the models we are following on this process. To take example, Gambia have signed up to it. We have followed the money at Gambia now. We have followed the money at Kenya. We have followed the money recently. Last week, Cameroon just buy into the idea of our model. So it is an open source model. I'm proud to say that it is a Nigerian product. We are fighting corruption to the extent that people in the sub-Saharan Africa are looking into how we usually engage to buy into the idea of what we're doing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that your activity has been able to positively affect the lives of people here in Borno State, because you made mention of what you did in Jere local government. It's really good to know. Now, there's something about corruption. It has always been there. Nigeria has been a sovereign state for a very long time, but corruption has been an integral part of the system from the very jump. Now, tell us why you think corruption is difficult to tackle.
Yeah, you see, corruption is difficult to tackle to some extent that corruption is something I will say. Corruption is just like a war that you are fighting without knowing your enemy. In the system, even if you are clean even if you are clean, there are those that are not clean within the space that will jeopardize what you are doing. So fighting corruption in Nigeria needs a lot to be done. Yeah, we are making progress, and for us to fight corruption successfully in Nigeria, we have so many things to do. In the public sector, we need to reform it, we need to re-strategize it, we need to look into the system of how we can make it difficult for public servants to engage in the first place in the corrupt acts, even before doing the corrupt things. And as well as our young people that are coming up, we need to have a civic education, I can say a system whereby we'll engage these young people to know the effect of corruption even from beginning. That is to tell you that, yeah, we need to create a massive awareness, or even to make it part of our curriculum for them to know that corruption is something that will make this country backward, will make this country not to achieve to where we want to go, because we are trying to compete. In the next years, if everything moves well, we'll compete with the developed world, not to say that we will compete with just in the African continent, but with the developed and giant people in the world. So it's something that we need to reform institutions, reform our educational sector to get it right from the beginning, because we need to come up afresh, and as well as to give independence. What I mean by giving independence is independence to these institutions that are fighting corruption. The executive arm should not interfere with how people are fighting corruption in those institutions, the EFCC and as well as the ICPC, because from what we are seeing now is as if the institution are fighting toward a sidelined, making effort toward a sidelined people. That is to say, people that are not in the ruling party. So it's something that people have that perception in them. So more need to be done.
But is that the case?
Yeah, it's not even the case. As I told you earlier, it's not just about arresting and prosecuting individuals, but how we can reform the institution, how we can make things right from beginning, how we can make it even difficult in the first place to be involved in the corruption things and what of view. So we need to make it right by reforming the institution. The public's domain and as well as the private domain need to engage all these processes of reform. We need to have reform, a very good reform that will make it right for our young people to know that corruption is something that will make this country backward.
I understand that your organization is not a United Nations agency, but it's likely to be an international non-governmental organization. Am I right?
Yeah, we are a national non-governmental organization, but recently, as we have started opening chapters across the continent of Africa, we are a national non-governmental organization as well.
Okay, international.
Yeah, international.
Well, I must say I commend your effort and I appreciate you.
This is where to file in the case that yours will be an open door scorecard to have at least 75% or 80%. Of course, yes, don't collect those things. But then the votes of the electorate don't count, then there is virtually nothing the electorate.
Do we have the capacity to do this as citizens of Nigeria? We need a severe punishment for anybody who willingly, openly rob our country.
Well, viewer, that is the much we can take today on the program, The Advocate. It's on this note that I want to say a very big thank you to Malam Muazu Abubakar Sadiq, the Borno State Chapter Lead, Connected Development. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
And then we look forward to seeing you some other time.
Thank you so much.
And to members of the audience, I want to say thank you. Your contribution have been helpful, and then we hope you will grace us with your presence some other time. Thank you. If you've had a great time watching the program, The Advocate, this week, then keep a date with us, same time, same station, next week. Thank you.